Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. B1 level. Chapter 1. The Secret of the Mountain. Long ago, in a busy town in Persia, there lived two brothers named Qasim and Ali Baba. Qasim was a wealthy merchant who lived in a large house with beautiful gardens. He was often greedy and cared mostly about his gold. Ali Baba, on the other hand, was a poor but kind man. He lived in a small, humble hut and worked as a woodcutter every day. He went into the forest with his 3 donkeys to collect wood to sell in the market. One afternoon, while Ali Baba was deep in the forest, he heard the sound of many horses galloping toward him. Fearing they might be bandits, he quickly hid himself and his donkeys behind some thick bushes. From his hiding place, he saw 40 fierce-looking men arrive at the base of a massive, smooth rock wall. The leader of the group, a tall man with a dark beard, stood in front of the rock and shouted in a loud, commanding voice, "Open, Sesame!" To Ali Baba's amazement, a hidden door in the rock swung open. The 40 men carried heavy bags from their horses into the cave. After some time, they came out again, their bags empty. The leader stood before the rock again and said, "Shut, Sesame." The door closed instantly, and the rock looked solid once more. The thieves mounted their horses and rode away. Ali Baba waited for a long time to make sure they were gone. His heart was beating fast with curiosity. He walked up to the rock, cleared his throat, and whispered the magic words, "Open, Sesame." The door creaked open. Ali Baba stepped inside and gasped. The cave was not dark and dirty. It was filled with treasure. There were piles of silk, mountains of silver coins, and chests overflowing with gold and jewels. The thieves had been stealing from merchants for many years and hiding their riches here. Ali Baba knew he shouldn't be greedy, but he thought of his hungry family. He quickly loaded as much gold as his donkeys could carry and covered the bags with wood. He hurried home and showed the treasure to his wife. "We are rich," she cried, her eyes wide. "But Ali Baba, we must be careful. If anyone finds out, the thieves will come for us." They decided to keep it a secret. However, Ali Baba's wife wanted to know exactly how much gold they had. Since they didn't have a scale, she went to Qasim's house to borrow one. Chapter 2. The price agreed. Qasim's wife was suspicious. She wondered why a poor woman like Ali Baba's wife needed a scale. What could they possibly have that needs weighing, she thought. To find out, she secretly put a little bit of sticky wax on the bottom of the scale before giving it to her. Ali Baba's wife weighed the gold and returned the scale the next morning. She didn't notice that one small gold coin had stuck to the wax on the bottom. When Qasim's wife saw the gold coin, she immediately told her husband. Qasim was filled with jealousy. He rushed to Ali Baba's hut and demanded an explanation. "You pretend to be poor, but you have enough gold to weigh it with a scale," he shouted. Ali Baba, being an honest man, told his brother the whole story about the cave and the magic words. Qasim didn't even wait to say thank you. The next morning, he took 10 mules and large chests and headed straight to the forest. He stood before the rock and shouted, "Open, Sesame!" The door opened, and Qasim ran inside. He was dazzled by the gold. He spent hours filling his chests, dreaming of how he would become the richest man in Persia. But when he was ready to leave, his mind was so full of greed that he forgot the magic words. "Open, barley!" he shouted. The door remained closed. "Open, wheat!" he cried. Still, the rock did not move. "Open, corn!" he screamed in a panic. He tried every grain he could think of, but he could not remember sesame. Suddenly, the door swung open. It was not the magic of his words, but the 40 thieves returning to their hideout. When they found Cassim inside, they were furious. They did not show any mercy. They killed Cassim and left his body inside the cave as a warning to anyone else who might find their secret. When Cassim did not return home, Ali Baba went to look for him. He found his brother's body and, with a heavy heart, brought him back to the town. Ali Baba knew he had to be very clever to bury his brother without anyone realizing how he died. He asked for help from Morgiana, a very intelligent and loyal servant in Cassim's house. Together, they made a plan to make it look like Cassim had died naturally from an illness. Morgiana's quick thinking saved the family from being discovered, but the thieves soon realized that someone else knew their secret. Their leader was determined to find the man who had taken Cassim's body. Chapter 3. The White Chalk Mark. Back in the forest, the thieves were furious when they returned to their cave. Cassim's body was gone. "Someone else knows our secret," the leader shouted. "We must find him and kill him, or we will lose all our treasure." The leader sent one of his cleverest thieves into the town to spy. The thief walked around the market, listening to gossip. Eventually, he met an old cobbler, a man who fixes shoes. The cobbler talked about a strange job he had done recently, sewing a body back together so it could be buried properly. The thief knew immediately this was about Cassim. He gave the cobbler a gold coin to show him the house where the body was. The cobbler led him straight to the door of Ali Baba, who was now living in Cassim's large house to protect his sister-in-law. The thief did not want to attack during the day. He took a piece of white chalk from his pocket and drew a small X on Ali Baba's front door. "Tonight," he thought, "we will come back and kill everyone inside." However, Morgiana, the clever servant, saw the strange man mark the door. She suspected danger. She did not panic. Instead, she took a piece of white chalk and drew the exact same X on all the doors of the neighbors' houses on that street. That night, the 40 thieves arrived quietly in town. The leader told them to find the house with the white mark. "Here it is," whispered one thief. "No, it is over here," whispered another. They realized that every door on the street had a white mark. They could not know which house was the right one. The leader was very angry. They had to return to the forest without doing anything. The next day, the leader decided to take control himself. He went into town and found Ali Baba's house. He looked closely at the decorations on the door so he would not forget it. He did not use chalk. He used his memory. Then he returned to the forest to prepare a terrible plan. Chapter 4. The Oil Merchant. A few days later, late in the evening, a tall merchant arrived at Ali Baba's door. He had a long beard and led a group of mules carrying 38 large, heavy clay jars. "Good evening," said the merchant, who was actually the leader of the thieves in disguise. "I am an oil merchant traveling from afar. It is late, and I have nowhere to stay. Could I perhaps leave my oil jars in your courtyard for the night?" Ali Baba was a kind and hospitable man. He did not recognize the thief leader. "Of course," Ali Baba said. "You are welcome here. Bring your jars inside, and my servants will give you food and a bed." The leader thanked him and directed his mules into the large courtyard. He arranged the 38 jars in a row. Ali Baba did not know the terrifying truth 37 of the jars did not contain oil. They contained 37 armed thieves, waiting for a signal to jump out and kill everyone in the house. Only the last jar was actually full of oil. While Ali Baba and the false merchant were eating dinner, Morgiana was in the kitchen. Her lamp suddenly went out because it had no more oil. "I need oil to finish cleaning," she said to herself. "I will take just a little bit from the merchant's jars in the courtyard. He will not mind." She took a pot and walked quietly into the dark courtyard. When she got close to the first jar, she heard a low whisper from inside. "Is it time yet, master?" Morgiana froze. She understood the situation immediately. This was not an oil merchant. It was an attack. She knew that if she screamed, the thieves would jump out and kill them all. She had to be very brave and very smart. She changed her voice to sound like a man's and whispered back, "Not yet. Wait." She went to the next jar. The same thing happened. She went to every jar, giving the same answer, until she found the very last one, which was full of real oil. Chapter 5. Morgiana's Triumph. Morgiana filled her large pot with oil from the last jar. She carried it back to the kitchen and put it over a large fire. She heated the oil until it was boiling hot and bubbling fiercely. With great courage, she carried the steaming pot of deadly oil back into the dark courtyard. Moving quickly and silently, she poured enough boiling oil into each of the 37 jars to kill the thieves instantly. They died without making a sound. Morgiana then blew out her lamp and waited in the shadows. An hour later, the leader of the thieves came out of the house. He stood in the courtyard and threw a small stone at a jar as a signal. Nothing happened. He threw another stone. Still nothing. Confused and worried, he walked over to the first jar and looked inside. The smell of hot oil hit him. He saw his man was dead. He checked the next jar and the next. He realized that all his men were dead and that his plan had failed miserably. Terrified, he climbed over the wall and ran away into the night alone. The next morning, Morgiana took Ali Baba into the courtyard and showed him the jars. Ali Baba was shocked and horrified when he saw the dead thieves inside. "You have saved our lives, Morgiana," Ali Baba said, his voice shaking. "How can I ever repay you?" "The danger is not completely gone, master," she replied. "The leader is still alive." A few days later, Ali Baba held a feast. He invited many neighbors, including a new merchant in town. Morgiana recognized this merchant immediately. It was a thief leader in a new disguise, hiding a dagger under his coat. After dinner, Morgiana dressed as a dancer and performed for the guests. She danced elegantly, holding a small, shiny dagger as part of performance. She spun closer and closer to the false merchant. Suddenly, with a quick movement, she plunged a dagger into his heart. Ali Baba cried out in horror, "Wretched girl, what have you done to my guest?" Morgiana opened the dead man's coat and showed Ali Baba the hidden weapon. "Look carefully," she said. This was no merchant. This was the leader of the 40 thieves, come to finish his work. Ali Baba realized that Morgiana had saved his life for a second time. "Morgiana," Ali Baba said warmly, "you are no longer my servant. From this day you are free. And if you agree, I would be honored if you would marry my son, for there is no woman braver or wiser than you." Morgiana happily agreed. She married Ali Baba's son, and they celebrated with a grand wedding. Ali Baba later showed his son the secret cave, and the family used the treasure wisely for many generations, always remembering the clever woman who had saved them all